Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Topper_Talk, and give us a follow on our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast. Like and share those episodes. Tell a friend. Help get our episodes out to as many WKU fans and ears as possible. As always, I've got my main man Tyler here with me. Tyler, man, you ready to jump into a Jacksonville State preview and what to look forward to this coming Tuesday?
Man, I am. We had the bye week. It's been too long. I need to talk about something, so let's talk about this next opponent coming up.
But before we do that, let's talk about our sponsor, and that is the Fireman Moving Company. This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move anytime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. I'm telling you, it will be worth your time. It will be worth your effort. If you're moving, that should be the first call you make, and that will probably be the last call you make. They will save you time. They will save you effort. They will save you energy, and they will make your moving process so much easier, whether you're just going across town, out of state, whatever it is, big, small, near, far, whatever, the Fireman Mover should be your first call. Get a free quote. Definitely got to check them out. Now, before we jump into the Jacksonville State preview, we are going to catch up with the Red Towel wrap-up, which is catching us up with all the WKU athletic events that we've missed since our last recording. So, Tyler, kicking it over to you. Catch us up. What's our Red Towel wrap-up?
All right, so kind of lengthy one, so get your popcorn, get your drinks, and get ready. On 10-12 soccer, they played La Tech and won 1-0. Baseball, they played Team Ontario, and we got the W. It was a shutout. No score posted, though. Cross country, they participated in the Angel Mounds Invitational in Evansville. The women finished up in 10th place in the 5K race, while the men's squad finished 12th in the 8K race. For the fourth time this season, freshmen led the way for both the men and women. Jared Sanfus led the men with a time of 26 minutes, 47 seconds, an improvement of 1 second since the last 8K meet. Kinley Kunkel once again led the women with a time of 23 minutes and 5 seconds. The duo have been the top finishers for each team in all 4 meets this season. So if you think of their names is just repetitive, you're right. They're awesome at running. The tennis team, they participate in the Sanford Invitational. The Lady Toppers won 3 of the 4 double matches they played to start today and had victories from Rachel Hermanova and Sunny Demira in single play against host Sanford later in the day. The Lady Toppers claimed 2 victories in double matches against South Alabama, and on the third day of the 3-day event, the Lady Toppers claimed victories in 3 of 4 double matches. Also picked up single victories from Paolo Cortez and Rachel Hermanova in the number 1 and 2 positions, respectively. On 10-13 softball, they played Lindsey Wilson College, and we do not have a score for them. I'm going to go ahead and say we won. The volleyball team, they played New Mexico State University and swept them. So welcome to Conference USA and the Lady Toppers volleyball team. And then on 10-14, it was a rematch, and same thing, swept them 3-0. On 10-14, baseball played University of Southern Indiana, got the W. And on 10-15, soccer played Sam Houston State University and won that match 1-0. So that's it for the Red Towel wrap-up. Moff, back to you.
I heard a lot of tops win, you win, we lit, baby, in that recap, man. Especially volleyball. I mean, they keep doing what they're doing. Women's golf is playing right now. We didn't put that information in there because they're in the middle of of a 3-day invitational, but they are really high up the leaderboard. Katie Craig, as always, is in that top 5, and several other of our golfers are in the top 20. When I was looking at the scores, it'll be on our next episode. But our women's golf team continue to do great things. Volleyball, like I said in their tweets, the brooms are free. Welcome to Conference USA. Enjoy the sweep. We'll see you in the conference tournament when we're probably going to do that again. Baseball and softball had some fall ball action going on. Soccer continuing to get some W. So always good, really good Red Towel wrap up. A lot of sports going on. And that's not slowing down anytime soon, with basketball picking up here real soon. So I cannot wait till we can dive into some basketball, probably real close to after Hilltopper Hysteria. You fancy. Really looking forward to our basketball coverage. That's going to be really fun. Obviously, the Steve Lutz interview was not that long ago. We've talked about the transfer portal and just how the roster and the coaches and everything shaped up. So really excited for, fall sports and now getting into winter sports real soon to get kicked up. But we've got to jump into a preview of a football game coming up this coming Tuesday against Jacksonville State. We are traveling to Jacksonville, Alabama, not Florida. If anybody's driving to Florida for this game, you are going the wrong way. It's in Alabama. It's really not that far drive. I think it's like 3.5 hours from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make it myself due to some work obligations. I would love to go. It's a Tuesday night game. WKU enters the game with a record of 4-2. Jacksonville State sits at 5-2. The game is going down at 6:30 p.m. and will be televised on ESPNU. The ESPN Power Index likes WKU to win, gives us a 57.9% chance to win, and Vegas really likes WKU to win. We opened as a 9-point favorite over Jacksonville State with a over-under of 59.5. So, Tyler, give me your aerial view, your bird's eye view of this game and what you know about Jacksonville State, just on paper, from an aerial view, looking down, knowing that we're a pretty healthy favorite. How this game look to you coming in to the matchup this coming Tuesday?
Well, see, that's the problem, but it's the first new opponent we play, new member to Conference USA we play. I do know they are averaging 362 yards total per game, 158 yards from the rush, and no, I'm sorry, 158 pass yards per game and 204 rush yards per game. So
you're stealing my thunder.
Hey, I'm still leaving you a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think they're going to try to grind us down because I'm sure they've watched tape on, Troy, what MTSU did in that second half. So I feel like they're going to try to grind our defense down, keep them on the field as long as they can, and keep our offense off. So, I think our defense has to come to play, and I believe Tops win this one.
Yeah, like you said, Jacksonville State does come in with a pretty run-heavy offense. They average 362 yards a game, 159 of those come through the air, and 204 of those come on the ground. So this should be kind of troubling to WKU fans, listeners of the podcast, because obviously we've had a little trouble on the ground. And like you said, the Troy game is kind of the exact blueprint of what to do to obviously keep our offense off the field. If you're running the ball, you run the ball successfully, you're keeping drives going, just not these quick play touchdowns or quick 3 and outs. That's how you're going to beat us. You keep our offense off the field, even though our offense hasn't been as stellar and as elite as what we hoped coming into the year. If you keep us off the field, we're nothing. We're not scoring points. So this game should be a little troubling in that sense that they are a run heavy and run dominant team. We do come in averaging we come in averaging 287 passing yards per game, while Jacksonville State is giving up 231 yards through the air. And WKU is gaining 102 yards per game on the ground, while Jacksonville State is allowing 131 yards per game on the ground. Now, offensively, Jacksonville State is led by quarterback Logan Smothers. He's a 6'2", 200-pound junior. He is 58 of 102 on the season. That's good for 56.9% completion percentage. He has 638 yards with 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. 3 of his last 4 games, he's been under 50%. So this is not a guy that we need to be overly worried and concerned about burning us down the field or burning us with his arm. Really not a big threat there, but he is the team's second leading rusher. He has carried the ball 65 times for 253 yards, and he has 6 touchdowns on the ground this season. Jacksonville State's leading rusher is Malik Jackson. He is a 5'10", 185-pound senior. He has 104 carries for 578 yards, which is good for 5.6 yards per carry, and he has 4 touchdowns on the season. And Jacksonville State's leading wide receiver is Perry Carter. He is a 5'10", 175-pound senior. He has 18 receptions for 325 yards, which is good for 18.1 yards per catch. Pretty big. And he has 2 touchdowns on the season. Tyler, what are your thoughts? I know you've looked into these offensive guys as well. I know you might have a couple more to touch on, but this offense is really predicated on the run, mobile quarterbacks, several running backs that can run the ball. What's your thoughts and just outlook on this Jacksonville State offense?
Well, I kind of want to go back to the USF game we played earlier this year. Their quarterback, kind of the same thing. He could pass, he could run. In the second half, really in the second quarter, we kind of shut him down. And, easy victory on that one. Smothers, he's accounted for 11 touchdowns on the season. Like you said, 6 on the ground, 5 in the air. You also got to look out for Zion Webb. I've seen they use 3 quarterbacks, but really Logan Smothers and Zion Webb is their 2 main quarterbacks. Zion Webb is 31 of 66 on the year for passing for 421 yards and 2 TDs. And he's also ran the ball 34 times for 189 yards and 1 touchdown. He's the team's third leading rusher. You look back at running backs. You mentioned Malik Jackson. They got Ron Wiggins. He has 156 yards on 28 carries and 2 touchdowns. And Anwar Lewis has 26 carries for 114 yards. He averages 4.4 yards per carry. So they're kind of like us that, they have a rotation of running backs that they use. Even though Malik Jackson obviously gets the lion's share of them, or at least, lion's share of them in the yardage. You look at their receivers, they also got Quentin Jackson. He has 14 receptions for 167 yards and 1 touchdown. And Sean Brown is their tight end. He has 11 receptions for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they've only given up, I think, 10 sacks this year. I believe that's the right number that they have. I believe if we get back there to them, if we shut down their run and force Logan Smothers or Zion Webb, whichever one it is, to throw the ball, he's not accurate. Really. I mean, 56%. And if we can shut him down the run game and make him pass the ball, I believe we can easily win this game. So I mean, that's who I got to look at for on offense.
Yeah, and then defensively, this Jacksonville State team is led by linebacker Quay Drake. He's a 6'1", 225-pound senior. He has 52 tackles on the year, with 23 of those being solo. And then I want to highlight a trio of their defensive linemen who have a combined 9.5 sacks between the 3 of them. First, we got Chris Hardy. He's a 6'2", 270-pound junior. He has 3.5 sacks. Curly Young, who's a junior. He's 6'2", 230 pounds. He has 2.5 sacks on the year. And then Kamari Stevens, he's a 6'3", 250-pound junior who has 3.5 sacks on the season. And then if you add in another defensive back, Kobe Fuquay, he's a 6'3", 220-pound senior who also has 2.5 sacks on the season. That, to me, that tells me that this defense is really aggressive up front. They're trying to cause chaos in the backfield. They're trying to put pressure on the quarterback. They're trying to disrupt the play before it can develop. Really, this game might come down to our offensive line versus their defensive line. If our offensive line can keep Austin Reed clean, which so far this year they've done a pretty good job. Tom Fornelli just posted the top quarterbacks in college football who've lost the least amount of yardage on sacks. Austin Reed was tied for number 3. He's lost 10 yards in sack yardage this year. So tied for number 3 in the nation. That's really good for him. Obviously, really good on our offensive line. And just judging by what I see on paper with this defensive line of Jacksonville State, it looks like they want to apply pressure with multiple guys. It's just not one specific defensive end or linebacker or D lineman or even corner coming off the edge and blitzing. It's multiple guys that they're probably drawing up stunts and blitzes for that can try to get pressure on this quarterback. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how our O line kind of can perform. I know we've had a couple good tests. The Troy defensive line was good. The Ohio State defensive line was good. Even USF's defensive line was good. And I hope that at this point in the season that our offensive line is, just more solidified and ready to step up and really just give Austin Reed a clean pocket. That's all it takes. We saw the first half of the last couple of games against MTSU and Law Tech. If we give Austin Reed a clean pocket, the world's in front of us. Malachi Corley's out there somewhere. Fuck it. He's down there somewhere. I'm chucking it. If we give Austin Reed time to throw the ball and we execute properly, then we'll be fine. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on the Jacksonville State defenders and just how this defense looks and stacks up to our offense?
Well, I don't want to take anything away from them because now they are, D1 FBS. But really, the only 2 real teams they played was Coastal Carolina and Liberty, and they both lost that game. They lost both them games. Like I said, I don't want to take anything away from them because they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. On the season, they have 24 sacks and 10 interceptions. Reed, our offensive line should be able to keep Reed clean against them, even though they do have multiple guys you got to look out for. If anything else, throw LT Sanders or Marquis Step in there in the back to help plug up any holes that defenders could get through. I think our offensive line should be able to handle them. I don't believe Reed should really get dirty this game because you're right. We've had to look out after Ohio State, Troy, MTSU, La Tech, USF, and really, I don't think Reed didn't get sacked until the Ohio State game. So, of course, between that we played Houston Baptist, but we still kept Reed clean. So, the defenders, they are plentiful, but I believe that we're going to be able to handle them.
Yeah, I'd like to agree. And I think as we jump into our keys to victory and our score prediction, I think that'll kind of highlight that. So getting on that track, let's cover our keys to victory. Usually we have 3 of those. Let's trade off. So give me your first key to victory for WKU to beat Jacksonville State in this matchup.
All right, I'm going to say keep the foot on the gas pedal the entire game. I don't want to see being let off or have the second half letdown that we had versus La Tech, or really MTSU, if you want to call that a letdown. But being held scoreless the whole second half, we don't need to be doing that. We are who we are. We know what we do. We don't let them dictate who we are and what we do.
Yeah, I think mine is going to be what I'm going to say is win the early downs, win first and second down. And that's when we're on defense. When Jacksonville State has the ball, we know that they want to run the ball. That's what they do. That's what they predicate their offense on, is running the ball successfully. Mobile quarterbacks and a couple good running backs that can run the ball. We have to keep them behind schedule, not gaining 5-6 yards on first down, getting 2-3 yards on second down, and being in the third and short. We're just missing third down altogether. We need to keep them off schedule, force them into third and long situations to where third down they have to drop back and at least have the ability to pass, because we've talked about their quarterback not being very accurate. And if we can force them to go away from the run game, which is what their strength is, then I think we're going to put ourselves in a better chance to win. What's your second key to victory?
I'm going to go in the same vein as that. Contain their run game. Don't let them gash us up and down the field. Keep them in front of us. Uh, don't be missing tackles. We've had that in a few games this season where we've tried to arm tackle or we just miss completely. If this team leans heavy on that, we cannot let them use that against us.
Yeah, mine is similar to what your first one was, which is play a full 4 quarters. We've still have yet to see that this season. We're coming off a bye week now. We've had 12 days of rest. By the time this game kicks off on Tuesday, we have had 12 days of rest since the Louisiana Tech game. We've seen multiple halves of football where we have been really effective, moved the ball really well, and scored a lot of points. But we have yet in 6 games, half the season now, to put it together where we've played a full full quarters, 60 minutes of football, and just absolutely been the monster that we know this offense can be. Both of us came into this season expecting us to score 40 plus points a game, and we're not there yet. Absolutely, we're not there yet. So I think we need to play a full 4 quarters worth of offense, not jump out to a big lead, get a big lead, and then take the air out of the ball, force the run. We need to keep feeding what is working, whatever that is. Some games it's the run game. Some games it may be that. Some games it's the short and intermediate passes. Some games it's Malachi Corley outside on the edges just running through defenders and scoring multiple touchdowns. Whatever that is, we need to keep feeding the hot hand and put together a full game, as we're now getting into what is the meat of the conference schedule. We are with a really good Jacksonville State team and then a really good Liberty team coming up right after this. It's time to start putting good halves of football together and creating good games of football, not just eking by with victories like we had the last couple weeks. What's your third key to victory?
I was going to say keep their offense off the field. Going back to I mentioned before, Troy. Their long sustained drives really wore down our defense. I mean, the defense stayed out there probably over 7.5 minutes in the second half, or in the Troy game. They were plumb wore out, and I believe if we got their QB off the field, I believe we would have had a chance to win that game easily, but we just couldn't, and they did what they enforced their will on us, and I would hate to see Jacksonville State do that because I'd like to welcome them to the conference by kicking that ass, but yeah, that's mine. Get their offense off the field as quick as possible.
Yeah, and mine's going to be my third one. My third key to victory is going to be a key that you touched on earlier, which is just play clean ball, and clean tackling is kind of going to be that main emphasis of mine. When we know we have a team that is going to be run heavy, run dominant, we have, the first defender either has to make the tackle or has to slow them up, trip them up, whatever, enough that we can gang tackle their runner, whoever that may be, because we know this team's going to hand the ball off a lot or run a lot of quarterback option runs. So we've got to be really clean and really sound in the tackling department, because we have seen several games where the tackling and just bad angles, arm tackles, etc., have just killed us and allowed drives to be extended, kept our defense out in the field. We've talked, kind of ad nauseum about how young this defense is. Now we've started the last couple games to talk about how injured this defense is, and it's not getting any better at the moment. So we've got to be clean in tackling, ending drives, stopping plays, and just getting off the field, because this team they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder. They've got something to prove. They're moving up. Kind of in their eyes, they've got nothing to lose. They're granted they're at home, but this is just a game against the conference favorite. We're favored to win the conference preseason, and right now we haven't done anything to kind of, I guess, prove that point. We haven't lost any games in conference, but we haven't had any big exclamation point victories, kind of saying, "Hey, the throne's ours till somebody else takes it." We've left a question mark there that we are a beatable team if you execute properly, or if we're not as clean for 60 minutes. If we play 30 minutes of football, we could beat some teams. Losing Tech, not great. MTSU, not great. We're going to face a couple of teams that have been a little bit more consistent this year. Jacksonville State's 5-2. Liberty's undefeated at this point, heading into week 7. So we've got to play a good, clean football game, and it really starts with football 101, tackling. We've got to tackle. We've got to wrap guys up, get them to the ground, and hopefully stop those drives. Now, Tyler, what is going to be your score prediction for this Jacksonville State game?
So I've looked back at the previous games, and we typically score around 30, maybe 40 points. I'm going to say we win this game 35 to 13. And we're going to cover the spread. So if you're in the sports betting, you can do money line or definitely the spread. I'm probably going to go money line myself. Heck, I may do both of them. But anyway, I'm going to say 35 to 13.
Yeah, that's a comfortable victory by your margin. Now, this is the first game. As I'm looking over my score prediction sheet, this is my preseason score prediction sheet. Preseason, I had this a 48 to 28 WKU victory. That was obviously before we knew a whole lot about Jacksonville State, and I stated the disclaimer in the preseason prediction episode that these scores can be altered judging by what we see and know later in the season. So I don't see WKU coming out and scoring 48 points, until they prove me wrong, until they prove otherwise. So I am going to change my score prediction, but only on the WKU side. I'm knocking it down a little bit. I'm going to say WKU wins 38 to 28, which is still covering the spread. We're favored by 9. That's a 10-point victory. So still a respectable offensive output. Jacksonville State obviously still being competitive, but WKU getting that victory on the road and then setting up a big, big, big showdown with Liberty, which honestly is going to have conference championship hosting implications on the line. So Tyler, who's going to be your NVT, your most valuable topper in this game against Jacksonville State?
I know I was sitting here thinking about it. I'm going to say Marquis Step, because we're going to need running backs to take some of the pressure, because people ain't stupid. Coaches watch the game tapes. They know who Reed's favorite target is. It's Malachi Corley. And they know that we can pass the ball. So we're going to need them running backs to take some pressure off of the wide receivers, off of Reed, so he can be able to get them passes out clean and get downfield. So I'm going Marquis Step for my MVT.
I like it. I do like Marquis Step. He's a heck of a runner. I hope he gets more opportunities. He really showed out against La Tech. The more opportunities you give him, I think he's going to have big games. So I hope you're right, but I'm going a different direction. I'm going the steady hand of Austin Reed. I think he needs to be the guy that leads and conducts this offense. Sustains drives, whether it's big plays or whether it's just chopping them up over the middle, whatever it is. I think it needs to come from the arm of Austin Reed. We've seen again glimpses of it, halves of football of it, but I don't think we'll get into a period where we're trying to force the run. We did see that in the second half against Louisiana Tech. It felt like we were trying to force the run and grind the clock down, slow the game down. and just get to the finish line. I think we need to have a game where we just are throwing the ball all over the yard and we just sprint through the finish line. That's what I want to see from Austin Reed. He's my guy. It probably will be the next few weeks, just to be honest. Looking forward at the schedule with Liberty, UTEP, New Mexico State on the horizon. But I think Austin Reed needs to be the conductor. He needs to step up, be the senior leader and captain, and just have that first half game, against Louisiana Tech, and continue that on into this game. So that's all for our preview of the Jacksonville State game coming up this Tuesday, again at 6:30 on 10/17. It's going to be on ESPNU. Definitely watch the game if you're not making the trip down. I have seen that there is going to be a campus event for a tailgating on South Lawn. I know we haven't talked about that, but there is an event that the Student Government Association and Red Wave is putting on South Lawn. I don't know how heavily attended that would be. I would assume that's going to be more of a campus and students type event. I'll be watching it from home, tucked in, cozy, watching it with a cold drink, I'm sure, to hopefully enjoy the game, not drown my sorrows away for the game. But really looking forward to this game. New conference member, like we've talked about with the volleyball matches, we want to welcome them to the conference the right way, and that's with a big L that they can hold, and they're right at home, so they just tuck themselves right in with that L. We'll drive home elated with a victory, and hopefully still have our eyes and hopes for a conference championship that has eluded us, obviously, since 2016. That's the goal this year. That's still in front of us. Hopefully, we're not overlooking this game at all, with Liberty on the horizon, which should be a big game. It's a blackout game. There's a pregame concert. They're undefeated at this point. They're getting top 25 votes at this point. We need to take care of business on the road. It's a business trip. Let's go down there and beat Jacksonville State. Tyler, give us your final words and then take us the heck out of here.
So, you mentioned the score predictions earlier in the season or preseason. Mine was 50. In this game, it was Western Kentucky 52. Jacksonville State was 24. I looked at the games that they lost, and they didn't score over 16 points in Coastal Carolina or the Liberty game. So that's why I knocked mine down just a little bit. I knocked theirs down, 11 points. So hopefully Tops get the win. Also, I know they're going to. The key to victory, getting their offense off the field. Now, their kicker, I looked up at what range and his kicking percentage.
He's bad.
Yeah. The kicker has a 58.3% field goal average, with his longest one being 43 yards. He is 1 of 1 from 20 to 29 yards. He is 3 of 4 from 30 to 39 yards and 3 of 6 from 40 to 49. So, if we could pull out a game like we did against FIU last season, where they didn't see, I don't even think they saw the 50-yard line during that game, we will be Gucci. We would shut them out. I'm here for that. I'm going to be watching the game or listening to the game at work. So hopefully it's going to be an ecstatic night. I won't be pacing around like I do during some of the I have done during some of the sporting events throughout the past few years. But no, I mean, and you're right. This, if we win this, it sets up a showdown with Liberty. And I don't want to overlook Jacksonville State, because you don't want to overlook anybody. But if we can go into the Liberty game undefeated in conference, them undefeated in conference, it may be a Tuesday game, but that game is going to be huge. And I'm still not a fan of Tuesday games. I just don't like it. We will be on national TV though, but still, I don't like it at all. So with that, I will say go Tops. Let's go down there. Tuesday, I'm going to start a new tradition of eating fried chicken. I'm going to go somewhere and get some fried chicken. Jacksonville Gamecocks.
Zaxby's.
Zaxby's love. But let's go down there. Let's take care of business. Hopefully it won't be nothing easy victory. Let's come back up and get ready for Jackson or for Liberty the following week. So with that, I will say, Moff, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You already know.
Go
Go Tops.
Go Tops, y'all.
Later, guys.
See you.